with that?
No, I don't need tech support. I ain't R positive.
You sure don't want him to do it since you coming up next? Why don't you let him do it?
Oh yeah, well come.
No, I'm all positive. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what R positive people sit right here.
Don't do it so he can get it.
No, for real. I gotta go up too.
Yeah, so he gets stuff prepared. Get in the right mindset. Get up.
Get up, R positive.
Yeah, he getting started.
He's shrewd.
He learning.
He coming.
He learning.
You better get it together. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Way to go.
Yeah.
Get up.
At least I'm gonna
At least we know he got some hair on his chest.
Oh, man.
Wait, check it. You found some taco meat on it?
Hey, that's my thing right there.
Taco meat?
Yeah. I'm playing taco meat.
Alright.
Alright.
Alright, so the title is You and Only You. So what I want to do is I want to first go to Matthew 7:21 through 24. I need someone to read that for me, please. Matthew 7:21 through 24. And as you read, I'm going to stop you through it as you go through it.
Matthew 7 what?
21 through 24.
Okay, I got it.
All right, give him a minute to get there.
Okay.
What version are you reading out?
I'm reading out of the King James.
KJV?
Yeah.
All right, that's good. KJV
Okay.
works.
You said 22?
21.
Oh, yeah, I already know.
7:21 to 24. You ready? Go ahead. Start reading.
Not everyone that says unto me, Yahuwah, Yahuwah, should enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. I should change that when I say Yahuwah, Yahuwah to Adonai, Adonai.
Yeah, Adonai.
Adonai,
Yeah,
Adonai.
because it's
I didn't
Lord,
take the
Lord. So it's
concept as
Adonai,
Yahshua.
Adonai. Yeah, that's good.
Right.
So he says, who is doing the will of my Father in the Shamayim or in heaven. So when you look at that word will, that word is G2307 in Greek, and that word is thelema. Okay. And when you look at that word thelema, there are several definitions for it, but it comes down to this: commands and precepts. Okay. Thelema comes down to commands and precepts. So when you're looking at the will of the Most High, okay, so that's when you're looking at the will of the Most High or the thelema of the Most High, you're looking at His commands and precepts. And that's what you have to keep in mind. You have to keep in mind when we talk about His will is given to us through His commands and precepts. And I think a lot of times when we talk about the will of Yah, we're saying, we're going off of what this script is, and we're not using what the script is, and we're not looking at His commands and precepts. So it doesn't make sense that His will was done away with. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
How could His will be done away with? How could His commands and precepts be done away with? It doesn't make any sense. Because if you do away with His will, if you do away with His commands and precepts, you're doing away with His will. Okay? So it says only the people that do the will. So only the people that do the commands and precepts. Those are the people that are going to call on the Lord. But those other folks, they're not going to know the will. And the only way to know the will, because it's revealed through His commands and precepts. Think about Israel. When Israel became a nation, right? What did Yah do? When Israel became a nation, what did Yah do? He wrote down the law for them.
Instead of it being verbal.
Right. He gave them their specific commands and precepts at that point. Once they became a nation. Before that, before they were a nation, what did He do? It was an oral law that was passed.
Right.
But once they became a nation, they needed something to govern that nation. And that's what they got. And that thing that governed their nation was His will. Okay, so that those precepts are the thing that tie back to His will. Okay, go ahead.
How did they become a nation?
How did they become a nation? How did Israel become a nation?
I can say
When they left where?
because they left Egypt.
When they left
He
out
made
of
them a
Egypt.
great magnitude in Egypt. They went up 70 souls, and it came out 600 and something.
600,000
So they
souls,
made
right?
them
So that's when they were officially a nation. So once they left, so even when they were in Egypt, they weren't really a nation. Okay, they were a nation in that there were a lot of people,
Right,
but they didn't have their own.
Nationality.
right.
But what does he say?
Right.
What does he say? What does he say that the reason that they need to come out, the reason why Pharaoh needs to let them go,
To
so
serve
that they
me.
can
Serve me.
worship him.
Worship
How do you worship him? How are they going to worship him? Through his commands and precepts. That's how they're going to worship him.
Right, right. Because they were under that governmentship under Pharaoh.
Right.
Yes.
They were under
Yeah, so they had to do so.
Right,
They were actually doing Pharaoh's will at that point. In order to do the will of the Most High, they had to come out of it.
right.
Right.
And then
it's the same
we
thing.
want to fast forward
Yeah, right
to now.
now. It's right
What do we
now.
have to come out of
That's right.
to truly
Right.
do His commands and
That's
Come
precepts?
out of Babylon.
We got to come out of Babylon.
Yeah.
It's the same thing from start to finish. It's the same thing. Okay. Read verse 22 for me also, please.
Okay. Many will say to me in that day, Elonai, Elonai, have we not prophesied in thy name?
Mm-hmm.
And in thy name has cast out devils?
Right?
And in thy name done many
Have you
wonderful
erased it?
works?
Is that an eraser?
Yeah, right in the it's in the
The
back.
side pocket. Where's the bag at? Oh,
Oh,
Look
back
at
over
that
there.
pocket there. Look at that pocket there.
All right. Can you read that one more time? I'm sorry.
Yes, I can. It says, many will say to me in that day, Elonai, Elonai, have we now prophesied in thy name?
Mm-hmm.
And in thy name has cast out devils?
Mm-hmm.
And in thy name done many wonderful works?
Right. When you look at that scripture, what does it tell you about His name?
It's authority in it.
There's authority in His name. Good. What else is that scripture telling you about His name? It's power. There's authority in His name. What else is it telling you? Look at that scripture. What else is it telling you about His name? Let me pose this question. Everyone that professes His name, does that mean they know Him?
No.
No.
No, exactly. So will there be some other people professing His name, doing things in His name? Yes, there will be.
You
So-
said that.
His name is important, but is that where we end? His name is important for us to know. His name is important for us to pray, and His name is important for us to call out. But that's not the end there. Because there are going to be some people that know the name. There are going to be some people that pray to the name. But those same people are going to be people that don't know Him. And they're going to use the authority of His name, but they don't know Him. So you got to be careful, because
Right.
someone knows that name, because they're a Hebrew and they say, I know that name. You have to be careful, because that person may not know Him.
Go
Go.
back with the will and the precepts and the commandments.
That's
and
right.
not follow them.
That's
Yeah,
right.
and
And that's
puts
why
you
they're
right
going to
back in the
deny
church.
deny
That's
him.
right.
And
That's right. You're in the
yeah,
same
put-
spot.
put you
You're in
right
the
back in
same
the
spot.
church.
You're just calling yourself a Hebrew because you know His name. Because you changed from Jesus to Yeshua. You know His name. You're able to do some things in His name, but you don't know who He is
Right.
because you're not keeping His commands and His precepts.
Right.
And
And then,
it says in Matthew 24, it says, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Christ.
That's
Right.
right.
And shall deceive
That's
many.
right. That's right.
Deceive
right,
many.
right.
You know?
So don't get caught up in people with that. I mean, you want to know His name and you want to say His name and you want to pray to His name, but don't let that be the determining factor as to if you think that person's on the path or not. Ultimately, you got to look at with their life. You got to look at their fruit, and that's keeping those laws and those precepts. You got to look at that fruit, because if you don't look at that fruit, just because they know the name does not mean anything.
And when you say they, you got to check yourself too.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what, same with us. If you are not walking in His laws and precepts, and you might have this, and you might be able to cast out demons, and you might be able to perform miracles, and you might be able to do all manners of things, but you don't know who He is because you're not keeping His laws and His precepts. Remember, the only way to know His will is through His laws and precepts. It's the only way. It's the way it was revealed. 23, Baruch, thank you.
And there will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity.
All right. So new, that word new. So I never knew you. That is G 1097. And that is the word gin. Gnosko. Okay. And that means to know, to understand, to come to know, to have knowledge of. Okay? So the only way to come to know him, to have knowledge of, is through those precepts. Okay? And there's going to be many people that he says, I never knew you. Let's see. And then if you look at this word here, iniquity. If you look at iniquity, and you look at what that word really means, that's anomia, and that is G458. Anomia, G458, and that's the condition without the law. The condition without the law. So you could read that scripture and replace iniquity with lawlessness. You could read it that way. You workers of lawlessness. And then that makes sense from the top to the bottom. It connects it all. Because his will is revealed through his laws and his precepts. And at the bottom, the ones that don't make it don't keep his laws and his precepts. It makes sense. Then that way, that's a flow. That flows that way.
Right, but then you also got prophecy that talks about that there will be people that if they don't keep these certain feasts, laws, statutes,
Right.
and covenant, that they won't be accepted. Like, Egypt is going to be a plague and so on and so forth. It's
Right.
written throughout the script.
Right, exactly. Verse 24, Baruch, please.
Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them,
Uh-huh.
I will liken him unto a wise man which builds his house upon a rock.
Okay, so if you look at it, hear and do. How many times?
Shema.
Shema. Yeah. How many times do we hear, oh, I have faith in the Most High. I have faith in Yahshua. I don't need to do anything. Works don't matter. Do works matter? They do. Because you have to hear and do. And then they will use the example of Abraham. What would it say? Well, Abraham, he believed and it was accounted to him for righteousness, right? That's what the script says. Right. But when you delve into that, he heard the word and then he did what? He got out of his country.
Right, I was just about to say that.
If he would have stayed in Ur of Chaldeans, none of that would have happened. If he would have stayed, he could have believed all he wanted. But if he would have stayed in his father's country, nothing would have happened.
Isn't that strange? It's just like when we hear the word, some of us still don't come out. It's the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. You hear it, he's telling you, and you don't move.
And you don't move. You stay in the same spot. You stayed in Babylon.
So it caused Abraham to move, to do something. And when the word causes you to do something, yes, the initial seed is that faith. That's that initial seed. That's what gets you there. But the thing is the actual action. Because the seed, if that seed is righteous, then the action is righteous. That seed has to be righteous though. So if that seed is coming from the Most High, you believe it, and then you move or do whatever he says for you to do.
Right, the seed of the woman.
All right. I've got a question for everyone. We talked a lot about this. And then we talked about, all right, so the first way you know the Father is how?
Keep his
Commandments.
Keep his commandments. Is there any other way to know the Father?
By knowing his will.
You know it's what.
You know his will. Somebody's looking at my notes.
Spiritual relationship.
Relationship. Okay.
In the spirit.
Spirit.
And I got script to back that one.
You want to call it?
Those who worship Yah worship him in spirit and in truth.
Perfect.
Period.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Is there any other way to know the Father?
Through the Son.
What about this?
About his creations.
What is that?
Election.
The election. Oh,
Who's
because he
election?
chose you. Yeah. Many
Okay.
are called, but few are chosen.
Okay. So when we look at election, what does that mean? When we're looking at election, we know we need to keep his commands. We know all of that stuff, but how does that impact us? Election.
It's like a selection.
Yeah.
He chose
It's
us
a
out of so
selection of
many,
people,
so
yeah.
few that he chose out of so many.
Right.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for that those people that you deliver the word for if they're part of the elect? What does that mean? What happens to those
Yeah.
people?
We have an ear to hear.
They have an ear to hear, right?
Right.
If they're not part of this election, right? What do we know happens?
They
They
fall
don't
by the
It was
wayside.
full
They're
word.
not going to listen. They're not going to hear. They're not going to hear the word.
Right.
So some of it are things that you can do. Some of it are things that you believe and do. But some of it is if he chose you or
That's right.
Is it different to say many are called, few are chosen?
not. Absolutely. No, it's the same.
Same.
That's the exact
Okay.
same. And then the scripture you had, Jacob have I loved,
Loved, but
Esau.
Esau have I hated.
And why? Did
'Cause he had
hate
elect.
Esau because of what he did.
Despised his birthright. He didn't want what was due to
But
him.
did he hate Esau from what he did? Or did he hate Esau
Because he didn't
before he did anything?
Because before he did anything.
He hated Esau before he did anything. And
Because
if-
he
I
Because
chose.
he already knew him.
he already
He
knew.
already knew him.
He already knew.
He already knew him.
So he knew who Esau was, and by election,
He
Esau
chose
was
him.
eliminated from
Right.
even being part of this because he did not elect to choose Esau.
Right.
Think
That's the same
about
thing with
Isaac and Ishmael,
Cain.
two seeds that came from the bowels of Abraham, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the promise was that your seed that comes from your bowels. So why wasn't it Ishmael?
Because it was a promise that was made to him and Sarah, his
Yes.
wife.
Right.
They were
And
both-
so
Right.
Ishmael
Not a
wasn't
different
part of
spouse.
this.
Right.
Or she wasn't even his spouse.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
Ishmael wasn't part of the election,
Election.
Right.
even though he came from Abraham's bowels. And here's the other thing: if you read, and you read about Ishmael, it'll say Isaac is his only begotten son. When he has two sons, it'll say that Isaac is his only begotten. And when you look at it, you're like, wait a minute, Ishmael. Wait, hold on. Ishmael is his son too.
Yeah, that's that.
But the begotten son, the son after the father, is Isaac.
Right.
It is not Ishmael. This is Cain and Abel. It's the
Right.
same way.
Same thing.
So the son that he chose.
Yeah. It was by election.
By election.
I don't know, Ishmael,
No.
he wasn't part of that election.
Can I elaborate?
Yeah.
All right, let's look at it from this standpoint. What is that? Genesis 1:26, I think it is, where it talks about. No, maybe I'm wrong.
126 is about
No, it's
man
two.
and female.
It's actually two. Hold on. Yeah, it is. It is. It's one. Let me go to it. I just want to read it real quick. No, it's not 21. It's not one. 26. Okay. I messed that one up.
It's all right.
Pardon me.
No, that's all right.
All right. Basically, I'm gonna use Yeshua words, and then I'll use what's written in Genesis. But when Yah brought Eve to Adam,
Mm-hmm.
he said, "This is flesh of my flesh and bone of my bone."
Yes.
Right? And what Yeshua said, that isn't it written that Yah created male and female, and they should become one flesh,
Mhm.
right? It only takes one and one to become one
One.
flesh. So Hagar wasn't a part of that first covenant.
Absolutely. Yes.
So
she couldn't be a part of
right,
that.
she was
Election.
never a part of that covenant, so she couldn't be a part of the election, or anything that came from her would not be a part of that election, because it was off of what he already ordained to happen.
Exactly. And remember, even before that, who was Abraham going to give all of his stuff to? Before
Eliezer.
he was going to give it to Eliezer,
Because he was right.
and that didn't work either.
That
No.
didn't work
That
out.
didn't work
Yeah,
either.
because he didn't believe, because Sarah said, I'm 100 years old. I'm going to give a child.
Exactly.
I mean, no, Abraham was 100.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
Abraham was
90.
100. But yeah, he was going to give everything to Eliezer. He was like, here, you're the top of my house. I'm going to give you all my stuff.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, we're not doing that.
And y'all told
We're
him.
not doing that.
Nah.
The seed can't go through there. The seed's not going to go through there. That's how I want the seed to go. All right, so let's go to Deuteronomy 7:6. We read this earlier. Deuteronomy 7:6. If somebody will read for me, that would be wonderful.
For, go ahead. For thou art a holy people unto Yahweh thy Elohim.
Mm-hmm.
Yahweh, thy Elohim, has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself,
Right.
above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
Perfect. All right, stop there. All right, the word is Kodash, holy people, set apart people. We know Kodash means set apart, and that would be H6918.
Oh, Kodesh, yeah.
Okay.
Can I repeat something?
Yes.
That's kind of, I'm telling you, this thing, Yah is working this thing together, because when you go into Scholastica, one of the ones that I read, which is 24 in the Apocrypha, it said, with all these I sought rest, and there was an inheritance should I abide. So the Creator of things gave me a commandment, and he that made me caused my tabernacle to rest, said, let thou dwelling place be in Jacob, an inheritance in Israel.
Yep.
It's powerful.
Yep. So if you look at this word Kodash, it is, and I'm bad drawing the Hebrew letters, so just bear with me. That's Kuf, Resh, or Dalet, I'm sorry, Kuf, Dalet, Vav,
Vav, Shin.
and Shin. All right. So Kuf means the least. Dalet, door. Vav means to secure. And Shin.
Is that front teeth?
Front teeth.
Teeth
Right,
are cut.
chaos, cut, chaos.
Two front teeth, chaos.
Okay.
Or cut.
Yeah. So now, when you look at that, I want you to read a little bit. Who was reading for me? I want you to read that next one, verse 7.
Okay. So Yahweh did not set his love upon you, nor chose you,
Mm-hmm.
because you were more in number than any people,
Mm-hmm.
for ye were the fewest,
Stop there. You were the fewest, or the
least.
so the least door will secure chaos. That's what he did.
Right.
That's how he made us Kodesh. He took the least door, the smallest door, the least the door, and to secure the chaos. The chaos was the disorder that was out in the world. So he chose that least door, the smallest door. That's what he did. Keep reading to the end of that, please.
The fewest of all people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he chose the smallest people, the least of all people, to secure the door. And that, like the Most
So
High.
Yeshua was saying that all along. He said the broad is the way of death,
Right,
but
right.
the
And then he was saying, what? My little ones, the least of them. Right? Who's he always talking to? He's talking to my little ones. He's always talking to the little ones, my least of them. The poor. He's always talking to that same group of people. Those are the Kodesh
That's
people.
deep.
Those are the set apart people.
Yeah.
The elect. Yeah, those are
election.
those Kodesh people. The least of us.
And Abraham was that perfect example
Exactly.
of the one who came out, and he was separate, alone,
Yes.
because his family and everybody else was still in Ur.
Right.
But he came out.
So,
Him
and
Lot.
now when you look at this the other way, right, you have to come through that least door.
Yeah.
And what does he say? If
You gotta
you
come through
cleave,
the
To
house
what?
To the house of Israel.
you have to cleave. So you got to come through that door. You got to cleave. And
isn't
who's the
that-
representation of that door? The Mashiach.
Yeah.
The Mashiach is a representation of that.
He is the door.
He is the door. He absolutely is
He
the
is
door.
the door.
And the shepherd.
The shepherd and the door.
All right. One more word in that I wanted to go through was chosen.
Oh, another script for that other one was 1 Peter 2:9.
Read it, please.
Alright.
Chosen is
But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a particular people,
Yes.
that ye should show forth the praise of him who hath called you out of darkness unto his marvelous light. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. We are his chosen, or his Bakar, H977, which means it is elect. There's Bakar, his chosen. And that's what we are. So when he says Kodesh, and bakar, he's talking about chosen and are elect. And then when you break down that word bakar, it's bet, chet, resh.
Yeah, that's check.
Bet, chet, resh, and that would be house, to separate a person. Okay, so it's kind of you pulling you out. It's the house to separate people, or house to separate the head.
Election.
The election. That's that
Only could be
election.
one
It's the
one
house
elected.
to separate the head. You got it. All right. So going through a little bit more. He made us set apart. He made us chosen. Those are the attributes. Okay? We're set apart. We're chosen. We're Kodesh. We're Bakar. Someone read for me. Keep reading through. What verse did you stop at? 8?
Stop at 7.
You stopped at 7?
8, I'm gonna start.
Yeah,
7
start.
was the last one. So
Okay.
continue with 8.
Yeah, continue with 8.
Okay. But because Yahweh loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto his fathers, have Yahweh brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt.
Stop there. All right, so he made us set apart, chosen, and he made an oath to us. So he set us apart. He chose us, meaning election. This chosen is meaning election. This set apartness is pulling out of Egypt, Babylon. It's pulling us out of the nations. So set apart, which is Kodesh, election, and then he made an oath to us. He made an oath to us, right? Okay. And then an oath could be he swore. And what do we know about the Most High's oath?
He keeps his word.
They
He
never
keeps
hit
his
the
word.
road.
Can it be broken?
No, it cannot.
No, cannot be broken.
That the word should go
So
out.
those people that say that he's given away his people, or his people are no longer,
in existence.
yeah. If you turn to Romans 11, 1 and 2, keep Deuteronomy, turn to Romans 11, 1 to 2. If I can have someone else read Romans 11, 1 to 2.
All right, I got you. I say then, have God cast away his people? God forbid, for I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. God has not cast away his people, which he foreknew. Want ye not that the scripture saith of Elias, how he maketh intercession to Elohim against Israel, saying, but you want to keep going?
No, stop there. All right. Was that verse 2?
That's verse 2.
Okay, you got
Yeah.
to to verse 2. So his set apart, his people, his chosen, his election, the ones he swore the oath to, will he cast away his people no matter what?
Absolutely
No.
not.
Because what do we know? In the end, and someone brought this script and I don't know where it comes from. In the end, who's going to be saved? Jacob will be saved with an everlasting salvation. I'm not sure what script that is, but someone brought that earlier. Okay. All right. So, set apart, chosen, oath that he swore to us. If we could turn to Deuteronomy 14:2.
You want to do that, Uzi?
Yeah, Deuteronomy.
And
14.
you still hold
Okay,
that Deuteronomy 7.
Deuteronomy 14:2.
Yep.
And it reads, For thou art a holy people unto Yahuwah, your Elohim. And Yahuwah has chosen these particular people unto himself above all nations that are upon the earth.
All right. He's made us a peculiar people. So we're a set apart people. We're a chosen people. He's made an oath to us and he's making us a peculiar people. And when I look at peculiar, it's the word segula, H5459, Samit Gimel Lamed Hey. And if I take that together, it would be turn, pride, behold, authority. So when we're a peculiar people,
behold,
we're turning from pride and we're beholding
his
the
authority.
Exactly. All right. So we need us. We need to be these people. We need to be the set apart people from the nations. We need to be the chosen people, part of the election. The election is important. Unfortunately, you can't control the election. But how do you know you're one of the elect? Because your spirit will do what? Bear witness to the truth.
Right.
He's made an oath. He swore to us an everlasting salvation. And he's also made us a peculiar people, meaning we're turning from pride and we're beholding his authority.
Now, I got one to add into that. Judges chapter 2, verse 1.
Go ahead.
It says, and the angel of Yahuwah came unto Gilead to Goshen and said, I made you to go up out of Egypt, and I brought you unto the land in which I swore unto your fathers, and I said, I will never break my covenant with you.
Wow. Wow.
He would do what?
Never break that
Never.
covenant. He would never break it. All right.
Psalms 89:34.
Go ahead.
My covenant will I not break, nor alter the thing which is gone out of my lips.
That's plain and simple.
It's plain and simple. You can't beat these, man.
You can't. So then with all of that background, I need someone to turn to 1 John 2 for me. 1 John 2:13. With all of that background of what he said. And this is why you have to precept it, because if you start in 1 John, you're going to get confused. 1 John 2:13 and 14. And remember, the apostles, the prophets, especially the apostles, had all of this background. So they're dealing from a place of knowing the background. So when they said certain things, they didn't take those things in isolation, because they assumed that the reader had that background, that that reader knew who Yah was talking about from the start. Okay, but so they kind of make that assumption. And when you're in Christianity, people, they isolate the scriptures and make a doctrine on that scripture without precepting it out.
14:2.
1 John.
13 and 14.
Who's that 1 John for me?
I got it.
Okay, go.
I write unto you, fathers, because you have known him that is from the beginning.
Yep.
And I write unto young men, because ye have overcome the wicked one.
Yeah.
I write unto you, little children, because you have known the Father. I have written unto you, fathers, because ye have known him that is from the beginning. I have written unto